Dead meme.
Hey there guys, welcome back to some Valheim. Today I would like to show a more advanced dock, how you can have more than one ship at a dock basically. I'm going to show you a little bit about how I built this and some tips, because building on the water can be a bit tricky. And as you can see, this side is the more primitive end you can make with all the Stone Age related material. And on this side, as time progresses, you can see you can make it much prettier. So it's a showcase slash tutorial, but let's jump in. Alright, since building in water is tricky, I try to avoid actually doing it. So you're going to need the hoe, you're going to get a bunch of rocks, and as you can see I've kind of built a small little ledge for my dock to sit on. But there is a limit. As you can see, I'm unable to add any more. There is a limit in which you can extend out from the shore these pseudo-structures. So that's basically how I know when to end my dock. It's when I can no longer add additional material, like I'll show you here, to the side of the dock. And this method would actually allow me to extend this guy out further if I wanted to make additional little cross sections, as you can see here. And I've left this open just so you can kind of see some of the construction method. It's just a core wood, it's a frame of core wood, and we'll get into me flooring it. So, and I would just coat the whole thing like this the whole way down. And of course I placed the roof on it to protect it from the weather, right? And as you can see, even with these big ocean swells, nothing's getting damaged. The wood's not deteriorating because it's not rain, which is kind of strange. So while we're here, security for your boats is a big deal. As you can see, my boats are really far from the land, and I've got it walled in like this so that you can't... so like the gray dwarves or whatever other nuisances that happen to live in the area are unable to actually reach your ships. But while we're here, I've started working on just kind of pushing out here, just to give you an idea of what it looks like. You can just kind of aim down there with the hoe, with this guy selected. And you can kind of flatten it out as you go. And I'll just show you. I have blue stability on this core wood log. And as you can see, building off of this thing is a little bit more challenging, but that's a little bit later. I'll show you how to deal with things like that. So I used a framing method to build out this little section here for the boats to basically have an area to dock to. And this little setup here, I'll show you how to make this, because getting ladders down to the water level appropriate to climb out is a bit of a challenge. So unless you are inclined to get a whole bunch of stones, you have a couple of options available to you to frame outwards. So I just kind of build a little temporary thing to stand on. And I take my core wood out, the appropriate one. And there we go. So as you can see, this is too wide. And I know you're concerned about stability, but as you can see, it's got blue stability because it's touching the ground here. And if you're really, really good, you can put the beam on that way, or you can use your boat. There you go. And now with this done, I know you're gonna... It's gonna look a little bit worrying because we're gonna see yellow durability. Or yellow stability. So we're green up to here, we're starting to go yellow. So to build the ladder out of the water, there's 1,000,001 little quirky construction methods out there, so there are plenty for you to experiment and find. But this is how I pull it off. I put one down right on the edge there, and then I can kind of do that. There you go. Now, as you can see, our durability, or our structural integrity, is really, really bad. But if we just use the 4-meter pole, there is another snap point. And we can just throw in another one. And there we go. Now we've hit a green level of structural integrity. So I'm going to show you that this typically isn't good enough. This typically will not get you out of the water. So in order to solve that issue, we can again just simply take the core wood poles, just make this ugly little framed structure just enough for us to stand on. So you may have some difficulty. Sometimes the water will bob up enough just to knock you off of the off from standing, and you won't be able to actually place anything. But just kind of keep at it. You'll need to be maybe in waist-high water to pull this off. And there we go. So relatively good durability because it's got a pull to the ground. You can go symmetrical to make it a bit prettier if you want. But if you want to get rid of this ugliness, all you got to do is get that one that's supporting it all. And it'll eventually deteriorate. So that's how you could build some steps to get out of the water, which is pretty important, I find. It's not uncommon for the water level to not allow you to actually escape out climbing with the ladder like that. So we know how to frame, we know how to place the steps down so you can get out of the water. We should talk about getting your boats to actually to dock, how to do this safely. So there's a reason why we're not directly, like this guy in a storm, he is going to likely damage the dock and himself. And we'll maybe conjure up one up to give you an idea so you can see it. This is the other option you have. The I guess you might call this a gangplank. I'm not completely sure. But basically, this one is the one I like to use, and you can customize its size, right? So if you've got the little carve, you can use a smaller one. But for the most part, during a bad thunderstorm, these ships are going to bang this dock, so it's always good to try to have a little bit of room. And that's why I kind of prefer this method. But the method of building these steps, this is good too. It's easy to board. So just before we call up that storm, I'll show you how you can build that little plank I had running like. There you go. And he's blue quality. He's technically touching the earth. There you go. And of course, you can go to a prettier level too. You can always make something a little bit nicer with the dark wood beams. So it can evolve over time, sort of deal. And as you can see, its durability is rather high. And you have your easy access. Alright, so these swells can get rather large. And the boats will move around a bit. And as you can see, I think the ship's already taken some damage. You're very, very light. So this is very tough to avoid. The best thing you can do is just give yourself a bit more room and have your crafting table there so you can quickly make repairs. And as you can see, some of these swells get really cruddy, like I can't even get out of the boat. But if you build yourself one of these little ramps over here, you'll be able to swim out. So just keep that in mind. If you give your boat some room, like this one's got a bit more room, and he should be fine. No matter how much he swells. Oh, yeah, there you go. So, same general idea. Keep that in mind. So, something else to talk about is, while we got the rain here, with the rainstorm going, sometimes it's tough to find your dock when you're returning. And as you can tell, these standing torches, the ones that are made with the metals, so like this one is the iron one. Yeah, and this is the guck one. So these guys burn, like, this one burns Great Orphize, this one burns resin, this one burns guck, and you get different colors. So as you can see, I did this because you would think that this would be enough to protect this guy so you can light your way, but as you can see, the rain's putting it out. So what I like to do is use those colored torches, and they just do not care. Not quite as bright as this guy can be, but you'll be able to see this thing at nighttime or when you're returning home and you're searching for your dock across the horizon. So one other thing I like to do, I like to use a lot of carts or do a lot of outposting. And as you can see, this is big enough for the cart. And if you just use some of that roofing, you can easily get in and out. And if you, when the time comes and you need to turn around, it's not too hard to do. And then you and your pals can load up your iron or silver or whatever it is you brought home. With all that being said, I think I should encourage you, make the dock your own, If you like the birds, put the birds on. If you like the wolves, put the wolves on for your little accents and decorations. You can always use these arches and these dividers as you advance through the technology tree, or half walls, or even just plain walls, whichever one that you really like. I just recommend creating some sort of door that will not allow any sort of vermin to get through to damage your ships or anything else valuable that you may have there. And of course, if you liked the video or if you found it helpful, if you want to do a like or a sub, that'd be pretty cool. And again, thanks for showing up, and hopefully I'll see you all again real soon.